Welcome to the podcast. Let's jump right into how the traditional Western centric model is being challenged by the rise of BRICS.
I'm really curious about that. So, you're saying the whole global order is shifting, right? Absolutely. So, how does this idea of a new multipolar world come into play here? Right, I see. When you say recalibration, do you mean that traditional global economic institutions might lose their sway? Got it. That's pretty interesting. But isn't there a concern that the West, despite its decline in influence, might still hold on to its military power for longer than we think? Yeah, that makes sense. So it might be less of an abrupt end and more of a gradual transformation? Right. And what about the sustainability piece you mentioned? How does sustainable development tie into all this? Exactly. So we're essentially looking at a two-pronged change, political and economic, with an underlying drive towards sustainability. Right on. That makes me wonder about the actual transformation process. How smooth or chaotic might this shift be? Absolutely. Right. Because even if the writing is on the wall, change is never seamless. It's like switching from an old operating system to a new one. You're bound to run into compatibility issues. Right, yeah. That inclusivity factor is really interesting. It suggests that the emerging order might actually smooth out some of the inequalities that globalization has worsened in the past. I totally agree. However, I have to wonder, while BRICS and the push for multipolarity sounds ideal, isn't there a risk of fragmentation instead of unity? Yeah, that's a fair point. So it's sort of a balancing act between unity and diversity within the group? That's a neat analogy. Speaking of outdated orders, do you think it's accurate to frame the Western era as simply ending? Or is it more of an evolution? Right, I see your point. It's definitely a layered situation. While the traditional ways may lose dominance, cultural and economic influences can persist in unexpected ways. Exactly. And that brings us to another subtle yet major aspect. How does this multipolar shift influence global cooperation? Yes, that sounds promising. Yet, isn't there a risk that increased competition in a multipolar world could result in more conflict rather than cooperation? I follow that analogy. I love that visual. Multiple teams, each with their own strengths and playstyles, working within a set of shared rules. Right, very much so. It's very intriguing to think about how historical patterns keep repeating, but sometimes in a different flavor. Indeed. In that sense, are we really witnessing the end of an era or just the birth of a new chapter? Right, yeah. That's truly a comprehensive shift, from the nature of military power and economic policies right down to the very fabric of global cooperation. Absolutely. Thanks for walking through that. It definitely gives me a lot to think about regarding our global future and the evolving balance of power.
Certainly. It's a vivid reminder that change is constant, and even seemingly entrenched orders can evolve. Till next time, let's keep questioning our global narratives and embracing the complexities of this shifting landscape.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to our next deep dive. Thanks for the insightful discussion.